Hey there, this is Stefanie Michele, a binge eating recovery coach.
And this is Kristina Bruce, a body peace coach.
It might be a little bit strange to hear my voice if you're listening to this on the Unlearning Beautiful podcast.
And same if you're hearing mine on Full But Not Finished.
But that's because today's episode is a little different.
See, I'd been following Stefanie on Instagram for years.
And I'd been following Kristina.
And I was noticing how much of a similar perspective we both have around making peace with food in your body.
So Kristina reached out to me in the DMs to connect in real life.
And we started talking and realized that our stories were very similar.
Two high-achieving women who spent way too many years caught up in perfectionism. We spent an exhausting amount of time on food and our bodies, always trying to stay in control.
And eventually it became too much, and we went on the journey of making peace with food in our bodies.
But as we started sharing with each other, so much good stuff came up that we thought, we need to record this.
So we stopped our conversation, and we're picking it back up today.
With the record button on, because we're sure some good stuff is going to come up, and we didn't want you to miss it.
I'm ready if you are, Stefanie.
Let's do it.
Okay, so tell me, you're doing the binge eating recovery. So obviously you struggled with your own binge eating.
Yes.
But what's the story? What's the 411?
Yeah. Well, honestly, so my primary thing I do is I help people with binge eating recovery. Like food stuff is where it's at for me. But the reason why I developed an eating disorder in the first place was because of my body image. Like my body image was the main event for me for most of my life. I mean, I was like a, what was it called? Not like, I was like a big boned kid, like I was just a little bit bigger framed than my friends and stuff. So probably from the age of like 9 or 10 onwards, I just had a relationship with my body that was like, I always felt like my body was not who I was, or like it wasn't doing me any favors, And so my eating stuff developed out of my disgust, what eventually turned to my disgust for my body. And my eating was always an effort to just control my body. It wasn't even so much about like control in general. It was just like, please make my body smaller, because when I was smaller, I got more attention. I got more validation. I felt more in control. Like I associated those things together. So at 40 years old, when I recovered from binge eating, it was really actually more of a decision to like decide to stop fighting my body. I mean, that was the first thing that had to happen, because everything else was built upon the idea that like, you must be smaller. Like we have to be smaller. And I was fighting that tooth and nail for decades.
Yeah. Did you get a sense of like, did anybody say anything when you were younger? Like, or did you just look at your friends and think, oh, I'm bigger? Because like when you were talking about that, a memory came up for me when I was in grade 7. Like I must have gone through a growth spurt, because all of a sudden, oh God, this is so weird. Like all of a sudden the boys in my class who were the popular boys started paying attention to me.
Yeah.
And that was weird. Like, but here was the weirder part. Friends' moms started commenting on my weight loss. And I'm thinking, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, that's messed up.
I know.
Like you're commenting on a 12-year-old girl's body being like, oh, you look good. You lost weight.
I know.
Like
it was so normal. I had a dad comment on my body once, and it wasn't meant to be creepy. I was about to say it wasn't creepy, but like, was it creepy? But like,
yeah,
it really didn't feel creepy to me at the time. That wasn't it. It was more like, it was a man who was just like, she doesn't have an ounce of fat on her body, because at this point I didn't. And I remember he was almost just saying it like he was observing it. And his wife, who was there, was like, absolutely. I remember she just folded her arms and looked me up and down, like in a way that was like, go girl, like that was what that vibe was. And I remember standing there, and at the time I was in the thick of like the worst of my restriction days. I wasn't binging yet.
How old were you?
16.
Okay.
I remember what I was wearing. I remember it was a summer day. I had come home from field hockey practice. And like, I was standing there. I remember feeling like I was being looked at in this way that was like approving. It wasn't even gross. It was just like, yeah, look at you, And I remember feeling like at once kind of like, I want to get out of here. And also I've arrived. And also,
Yeah.
oh crap, like there was some kind of pressure and expectation in it that like I never liked people commenting on my body because I always felt like, oh, well, number one, what did you think of me before? And number two,
Mm-hmm.
if I can't sustain this because it was never sustainable and I always felt that. I always felt like I was at the edge of like everything crumbling.
Yeah.
What am I going to do then? Like how will you look at me then? It felt like such a pressure system. So at that point, yeah, the comments were more positive. Prior to that, yeah, I mean, there were some comments. I wasn't bullied for my body or anything like that, but I know that, like I had like thicker thighs. My mom had been like, that dress isn't flattering on you and things like that. And my grandmother used to comment on things, like if you
Mm-hmm.
lost a little bit of weight, just stuff like that. So it wasn't like a huge trauma in my life, like from a perspective of comments from other people, but it was something I knew I was slightly just above where ideally I might want to be.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I hear that.
So, oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just, it's like bringing up memories for me too of like my aunt was always since I knew her. I remember I had seen pictures of her when she was younger and she was thin, but she was a smoker, which was also hilarious because she was a nurse. It was like back then,
Yeah,
like all
yeah,
the
that
doctors
era.
and like everybody was smoking. And she wanted to quit smoking and she did, but then she gained weight and then she kept gaining weight. Like, so she got much larger. And it was always this, like, I think she really wanted to accept her body and feel okay. But the comments that she would say would definitely made it clear that she didn't. So she would say, um, we were all getting in a car and she was like, all right, all the Bruce bums in the back. And I was like, Bruce bum? Like, what's a Bruce bum? And, my last name
Yeah.
being Bruce. And it was this idea that like we all have bigger bums.
Okay.
And I remember feeling like it was just the way she said it. I was like, this isn't a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, why would you point that out?
Right.
It's like we know, I know that being bigger isn't good. And so, but then I kind of remember I commented to her about it and she was trying to like backpedal a little bit. But I was like, it just is like these
Yeah,
little things of something's wrong, like I'm too big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting
Yeah.
because some of the stories that, we'll see on social media and stuff is like, and with clients too, it's like there's very kind of like hard stories about bullying, around this stuff.
Yep.
And even like parents or mothers who are like, you're too big, I'm taking you to Weight Watchers, like these kinds of very obvious and explicit affronts. I've always felt like I haven't like related to that. It was like just this subtle undertone of like, you got a pretty face, but like, and
But
it's this little, like, you're just not good enough. You could be if you tried a little harder, but like, just not gonna,
right.
and like that space for me is where I think it appealed to that perfectionism because it was like, I was almost there, but not quite. And
Mm-hmm.
that like gave me, I think, this sense of like maybe a challenge or something like that. I felt like I had something. I always say like it's almost sometimes harder. I felt like it was like just within reach, not too far away, but like just within reach. And there was something about that psychology that felt like it spoke to the part of me that was like, just push a little more, just push a little more, just push a little more, which of course became like a pattern of obsession and like a dangling carrot that never actually arrived. Did you ever feel though like you did arrive? Like did you get to a place where you were like, I've done it, I'm good, I'm happy here?
It's like I would have brief moments, like a brief moment, and it might be all of a sudden the guy that I would have wished to have the attention from all of a sudden now wanted to date me, you know?
Yeah.
Or yeah, like and it would be like that moment, but then like you said, there's this then oh no feeling underneath it because I knew it was fake.
Yeah.
Like I knew I'm not normally like this.
Yeah.
I'm very intentionally and purposefully keeping my weight down, monitoring everything I eat to keep myself this small because I don't want to feel less than.
Yeah.
And as it is, I clearly am not good enough. I'm clearly less than if I'm bigger because I'm not going to get attention from you. And yeah.
Yes. That reminds me of like, I think when I was eating or when I was trying to recover from the food stuff, I remember feeling like there was this part of me that I heard myself say it and I was like, you don't. Like, I was like, no, you can't think any differently than like, just be thin. But I remember this part of me saying like, I will accept whatever my body is as long as it's authentic, like as long as it's me. And I remember thinking that I could never be happy in the binge restrict cycle because it always felt like either one was both like this thing that was bigger than me. It was like, one was a reaction of the other all the time. And it wasn't whatever my body was doing in response to that, which it would go up sometime. And like at some point, like I started gaining weight and then I would lose it again. And, I'd go back and forth. And I was like, it's not the body almost. It's like the fact that I don't know who I am. I don't know if I'm this size or this size or like, because everything I do in my life is about fixing the other side of it or like rebelling against the other side of it. Like, who am I? And if my body could tell me who I am naturally, like, could I maybe get behind that? Could I feel like almost like instability? Like I wanted to know who I was in stability. And I hadn't known that since my teen years. And I'd also, in the meantime, like developed a deep amount of disgust for it, like for the fact. And I think sometimes like, is that related to the disgust of my own lack of like ability to be me? You know what I mean? Like the fact that I was always performing or rebelling and I didn't even know who I was.
Did you have that sense of wanting to get to know who you were when you were 40 and you did this healing? Because I'll be honest, I'm like, I didn't have that level of self-awareness.
I figured it out later.
like that. Yeah. Like that came much later. For me, it was more just like, I can't keep living like this anymore. But I was like, wow, did she, like, who am I in this? I never had that
I go there. Like I've always been one of those, like I'm thinking too deeply about everything.
No, it's great. I love it.
But when I was 40, I recovered at 40, but it came from exhaustion. And then it came from that. That was where that voice came up. And I was like, don't you dare think you could be happy with like, I was like, you can't be happy if your body is bigger. Cause there was this part of me like, maybe I could. Maybe I could if I felt like it was me, if I felt like this was my honest self. But it just, when you were talking about like knowing it wasn't you, knowing it wasn't sustainable because it was a suppression, it's like that. There's something about like the way that we're suppressing body weight that always felt to me like suppression of who I actually am. It's basically saying like what my appetite is and like what my body is and like my needs and almost like my life force is not okay to be what it is.
It's so interesting you said that because I just got done. I was saying I just was recording another podcast interview prior to us jumping on this call. And I was just interviewing Bridget Burdick Brown, from Beyond Beauty Project. I don't know if you've heard of her.
I know Beyond Beauty Project. Okay.
Yeah. So she was a model for 20 years, like high fashion model. And I was like, I need to like talk to her. And because I had just watched this documentary following a model around like starting early in her modeling career, going to Paris Fashion Week and going to casting calls for being in Paris Fashion Week. And it was just recorded like a year ago or 2 years ago. So super relevant. And it was so sad. It was so sad because not only are almost all models starving themselves, like it's like, and then she confirmed everything. I was like, okay, so tell me, is this what's going on in the modeling industry? And she's like, yep, that's 100% what's going on.
What we all think.
But the point is that I had said to her, I go, I feel it's like what we're being sold is this idea in order to be this epitome or idea of beauty and valued is we literally have to disconnect from our soul in order to be that. And she was like 100%. Because she was saying that through her journey of being a model, she literally just kind of disconnected from her body.
Yeah. You have to.
And that's what we're taught. Like it was encouraged. Anyways, I'll stop talking about that because that's in the episode. You can hear all about that later.
Episode out.
Yeah, check that one out when it comes out. But That's just it. And I like, for me, I'm actually like feeling kind of this emotion coming up right now, thinking about young me and just thinking about how I just felt so insecure. Like I felt so insecure in myself and I never felt good enough. And so that would show up in everything. So how I would do it is, I mean, I was naturally more inclined to do well in school. I got good grades. And so getting good grades is what helped validate me to feel like I was good enough. And then it was, it sounded like you were in sports. I was in sports too. I like played softball and I was on the rowing team. And it was again, doing well in sports. Like everything was this, how can I do well and try to be, perfect in the thing that I'm doing so I can feel good enough.
Yeah.
And the body, I guess I consider myself lucky in some respect that I didn't really get into the disordered eating until after I graduated university. Like it didn't start for me until in my like mid-20s because I was too busy with trying to be good at sports in school that I wasn't as focused on the body. But then once I was like out in the world on my own and was dating and whatnot, I was like, I want to know what it feels like to be beautiful in the sense of how I'm taught to be beautiful. Like, because everybody's around me. Like I grew up with a sister who was always thinner than me. So she was always getting the praise from my family. Like they were all women who were thin. Same story. Thin when they were young, fat when they got older. And they were just pining for those days of when they were thin and they could never get back there. So they were always complimenting anybody who was thin in our family. And I'm like, well, I want that compliments. Like I want the validation. I want to feel good enough. And so going out intentionally and doing that and then getting the validation.
It works.
Because right? It works. It comes. But as we know, it's that, again, that soul disconnection because it was rooted in coming in a place of not good enoughness. So I feel like if we're taking action from a place of fear and insecurity, it will never get out of the cycle from that. It just kind of keeps perpetuating itself. Like it keeps going in this circle. Because you get the temporary validation, but it never fills the hole. And the mark is always moving, right? Like, and it's like, was I ever thin enough?
Right.
Because even when I was thin, I look back in photos and I'm like, oh my God, I was that thin. I never felt that thin.
Yeah.
I never thought I looked like that.
Same.
And so it's just so sad because it's like we're okay when we start out, right? Like when we're young children, we're okay. And then we get these ideas implanted in ourselves that we're somehow not okay. And then we go on the search to feel okay again because the whole problem was that we believed we weren't okay in the first place.
Right.
And it's like when you're growing up, you're just listening to what everybody else around you is saying.
Yeah.
So you think, well, yeah, like this is just how it is. This is what matters. This is the truth. And we absorb it. And then we're now on this journey to like fix ourselves again or feel enough. And the whole thing was, well, you don't feel enough because you've lost connection with your inherent enoughness.
Yeah.
The whole idea that you weren't enough was the lie.
Right. Except that like, I think the trick of it is, and the psychology of it is that when you get the validation, which feels like something towards the good enoughness. It's not, right? Like it doesn't actually ever land, but it feels like it's coming, like the more you're getting validated and like the accolades are arriving, you're like, yeah, okay, like this makes me feel good. It feels like a high. This high is then interpreted as like good enough, good. I don't feel it fully, but like I must be getting closer. And then if you lose it, you're like convinced that you've lost that access you were just about to have. And that loss then becomes what you're interpreting as the not good enoughness. So you're buying back in each and every time to like, no, the reason I feel like crap isn't because I never felt good enough to begin with. It's because I just lost access to almost having it, which it never was.
But I'm getting what you're saying with this. So let's say you're a kid and you're just you and you're fine. And then all of a sudden you get validated for something like a behavior.
Yeah.
And so then your mind says, ooh, like this is a good thing. I'm good now. So it's not like it was coming from a necessarily a place of not good enoughness to begin with, but it was like you got this sense of validation that the mind interpreted as like, this must mean I'm better, or I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like you get caught in that loop. So I think it can come from both places. One, it can come from, I don't feel good enough, but that's still the pull away. It's the pull to the external validation that actually still takes us away from the fact that we felt enough prior to that. Like we didn't need the external validation to feel enough. And that's the trap. That's the trap, because it feels good and then it keeps you reaching for it, which then keeps you away from your own validation, which you already had prior to reaching outside for it.
But now it doesn't feel as good when you're like recognizing the absence of the validation. I think that's like the trouble with it. It's almost like a dopamine loop addiction. You know, like it's like if it's like trying to get off your phone, you're scrolling. It's like it feels terrible when you get, if you're fasting to get off of it. But eventually something recalibrates. We're never giving ourselves that opportunity. I don't think we can unless we're doing this incredibly intentionally and purposefully. Yeah. Because society's constantly being like, here's the shiny thing. Come get it. Like, this is what's good. This is what's good. You can't get out of it. And I'm curious about this, like for you, like how do you break that? Like, how do you get out of something so almost addicting, like and I don't mean just the behaviors, but like the feeling. How do you end up finding good enoughness again once you've been exposed to this?
Yeah. I love you're asking that, because this is maybe like super kind of raw and vulnerable right now, meaning not raw and vulnerable and then I'm going to like break down or anything, but in the sense that I'm actually going through, like I didn't expect to share this right now, but I will. I'm literally in the middle of, I'm personally doing a 40-day experience of where I am sitting in the truth of myself and letting go of any negative feeling that comes up. So any like well beyond body image now, like we're talking anything that feels negative. So like even the slightest irritation, the slightest worry, like to my mind that feels legitimate. Like, no, I really should be engaging with this worry and anxiety right now. And it's almost like I've put myself in this circle. And I'm like, for 40 days, I can pick up the worry at the end if I want. But I am doing an experiment where I'm like, no, I am letting go. Like I'm going to So what happens? The feeling comes in and I am rooted with the intentionality. So like you said, intentionality is important. With the intentionality of the truth of who I am, which is I am good, I am worthy, I am safe. And everything that so I'm kind of all over the place, but I recently what I started doing is I've been noticing that the way that I coach people is a little different than, like, I can't really explain it in words. I really need people to experience it. And so I started opening up that if somebody's curious about working with me, they can book a complimentary coaching session. So I'm offering like a free. Yeah, I know. But it's just like, I realized
I get it.
I was like, I can't talk about this. I am failing at communicating what this is about. The only way I can explain it to people is if I guide them through an experience of it. So I've been doing that. And so that's literally like what I do for myself, is because I guide them through the experience of who would you be in this moment without a negative thought about yourself. And they're really sitting in it. I also might do it where like I'll have them connect with their heart and they're like, oh my God, like I'm fine. Some are like, I like myself. The whole point is, in the absence of the negativity, we feel good. We feel safe. We feel whole. We feel complete. And that is the essence of ourselves. Taking this to the next level personally, where having that grounded knowing of what is true, because here's the thing, it's a thought that comes and goes. It's a feeling that comes and goes, and yet you're still here. So the feeling can't be you, because if it really was you, you would disappear when the feeling disappears, except you're still here. So I keep bringing myself back to what is the truth. No, I'm allowed to feel safe. I'm allowed to feel joyful. I'm allowed to feel whole, complete, and worthy. And so for 40 days, every time the pull of, ooh, but what about this worry of, ooh, maybe you did that wrong, or ooh, like this person's a jerk, like judgment even of other people feels bad. I'm like, oh, look at that, dragging me back down into that terrible feeling. Nope. I'm going to sit here. I'm whole, worthy, and complete. So that is how I let go of the cycle of it, is I'm intentionally, and this, by the way, like I have done years of work of like being able to kind of, not to say that you can't do that, because when I bring people through this session, they're surprised at how quickly they have the experience. So people are now saying to me, oh my God, like I haven't felt that in ever, or a long time, or they're having, my God, moments. And I'm like, I know, guys, it's amazing. Like, it's amazing. Like, we're okay. I just want to like shout from the rooftops and be like, everybody, did you know that we're okay? Like that we're totally fine.
I love
but
that.
we just like bought into a whole bunch of BS that's not true. And so to me, on a really deep fundamental level, and a long way to answer your question, is how I get out of that cycle. But there needs to be some kind of like a bit of a trust, a bit of a leap of faith in saying, you know what? I've been buying and listening to these horrible stories about myself and life, and like the feeling like I have to suffer. It's normal. Everybody's doing this. Like everybody's worried, everybody's stressed, everybody's anxious. Right. And because it's normal, we don't realize that there's another way, that actually life can be more easeful, but it requires a turning away from those feelings and a reconnecting to something much deeper within ourselves. So talk about liking to go deep. You found the right girl, because I love to go deep.
I always attract them. Anybody who's listening, who's been following me for a long time will know, like I'm listening to this and I'm like, okay, like my personal psyche, and it is like thinking about how my brain and like even my spirit would get behind that, because I'm going to be I'm a skeptic. So I'm like, I need to understand something before I can like commit to it, or before I can believe it. So when you're talking about almost like this feeling of worth, and I think maybe this is like where body positive, is it body positive? I don't even know if it's just that. Like where I'm like, I would read online about like self-worth and like your body's not your worth and that whole thing. And I never connected with that. I did cognitively, but I never connected with it really, because like the idea of worth itself, or even like okay, or me being not okay, safe and okay I can get behind, but like good enough even, like is felt to me so far. I was like, I don't know that I believe in my worth without knowing. But what you're doing is like, you're like, well, worth can be, or like safety can be the absence of participating in negativity or in like the criticism and things like that. And I'm like, I can do that. That I can't necessarily go find worth, but I can take away what's blocking it.
Because that's the key, right? Like the worth and the safety. And so you can see I'm getting so revved up and excited about this, because it's like, it's there. The negativity is what clouds over
that's
it.
What I'm hearing.
So that's why, I mean, and aren't we back to kind of what we were talking about in the beginning, why you can't actually reach outside for it.
Right.
Like why the trying to get it always fails is because you're actually moving away. You're getting further away from what's there, because it's already there.
Yeah, that's like when, like you're born whole, like that idea, you're born whole. And like, if I hear that all by itself, I'm like, I get it, but I don't get it. But then it's like, that's because all this stuff's in front of it. It's like the removal of, so like almost reverse engineering wholeness and like light.
It's an unlearning. It's like an uncovering. It's a taking away versus an adding on.
Yeah.
So the whole, because I always tell this to clients and people I'm talking to, and I'll say it in my podcast, like people are probably going to get, well, they're listening to it now, but they're probably going to get maybe annoyed. I'm just projecting. They're not going to get
annoyed. I do that all the time.
You need to be reminded.
You're so tired of hearing me say this.
Like I'm going to be saying the same thing over and over again, but I mean, I've been listening to the same thing over and over again in my own journey because there's truth in it, but we need to hear truth sometimes 20,
Yes.
100 times before it actually, because we're going to hear it on different levels.
Yes.
So I'm getting on a tangent, but lately I've been sharing that I'm reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle again, and I read it 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like hitting
Different
on a
book.
whole other level
Yes.
now, right? I'm like, totally. Yes, Eckhart. Yes. Like,
Now.
I get it. Like, yeah, I guess like I can't wait to read it 10 years from now to see what I see then, right? But when it's like something in you recognizes it as truth, but we can only receive it on a certain level of perception. I always say, look at little children because they are the closest to their true essence. That's why they're joyful. They're naturally confident. They're not looking in the mirror, pinching their stomachs, like, I'm too fat. No, like, because they haven't learned any of it yet. We get taken away from that when we're children, and we're essentially on a journey back to it.
Yeah.
Because we come in whole. We learn these ideas. It's like everybody has that moment. I felt okay, and then I felt bad, right?
Yeah.
So something took us away from the feeling okay.
Yes. Oh, there's too many ways I want to go with this conversation. But just that last one reminded me of like when people see photographs of themselves and it's like, that's where they believe that they are just now seeing the truth. And I think it's backwards. I call this curtain syndrome. So like, we believe that when we see a photograph of ourselves or a reflection in the mirror that like, oh my gosh, the curtains have parted and now I see the truth of who I am. And before I was just in denial, right? And I'm like, I think it's flipped. I think that the curtains have just come closed and like we've just now objectified ourselves and we're believing in that objectified story. And actually before it is where you were accurate. When you were embodied in yourself and you were just at the party or at the whatever, you were good. You were in you. And then something ruined it. Yeah.
100%. Love it. And that reminds me back to the model conversation I was talking about was we were like talking about how that's actually what was going on. It's like they're seeing themselves in photos and it's the objectification. It's the literal disconnection of themselves because it's an image. Like I did a whole episode on looking at yourself in photos. And I was saying, it's like, there's no life in the photo in that respect. Like the life is in you now looking at the photo. It's not the photo.
It's energy. Yeah. Like that lives inside of you, literally.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I'm thinking about like my body image trajectory of like the healing part, right? Or whatever that means. And I didn't like get to any of this prior to deciding that I was going to actively try to work on my body image. Like I didn't know any of this then. It's all retrospective learning. But I did feel like I understood that what I was doing was so unsustainable and so just torturous, you know, like I couldn't, I just didn't have the energy. Like I actually for the first time was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And so the first thing I did, I couldn't believe any of the things I was reading about my body being worthy all by itself. Like none of this would have landed for me at the time. So I decided that what I was going to do, well, first of all, I took a course with Jessie Nealand, who was my like first foray into body image thinking at all. But I was like, okay, well, one thing I noticed that I'm doing is that every time I get in the shower or I get dressed, it was usually when I was like in my closet, I would be like changing my clothes and I would see my body and I would be like, ugh. And I would do that out loud. I would just like, ugh, disgust and condescension, like just in my voice. And I was like, well, no, we have to stop that. Like we have to stop making that sound. Not because you have to be like, oh, I love you, thighs, you know, or stomach or whatever. Like, no, I wasn't going to do that either. But I was like, you can't be walking around saying, ugh, to yourself, because what kind of company are you keeping then? Like, what is your body supposed to do with that? You know, of course you're going to feel the way you feel. So I was like, fine, I'm going to have a no tolerance policy for the ugh. And I'm not going to replace it with any woo woo or like mushy gushy self-love, but I am going to take away the critic and the very audible critic. And like that little thing went so far because to this day, actually, every now and then I might make a little gesture, not even necessarily about body image, but like when I'm like, I'm aging, I'm like, and I'll look at my skin and I'll be like, I'm getting older, and I'll hear myself do it. I'm like, no, like it's okay to have feelings and it's okay to have a reaction. I'm not trying to tell myself any differently, but I am not going to go engage in the behavior that accompanies it. I'm not going to validate it and enable it. And to me, it's like what we're talking about here is like, that's taking that layer away. Like it's being like, you can't layer on criticism and expect to get anywhere, right? Like you have to at least take it away so that you stand a chance with yourself. And I remember that when I would do this, it was hard because I was like, I want to say, ugh, like I really wanted to. And I would just be like, just rewind and just be like, okay, it's my hip, like it's my stomach or whatever. And then you're like, there's no story then. It's just what is. It's just what is. And I feel like getting closer to what is a completely different experience. It almost like reminds me of like the power of now. It's about like essence and original or who we are. Like it's stripping away. Like it keeps coming back to this idea of like taking away what we've learned to put on. And that doesn't even have to be nirvana or like body positivity or like ultimate connection, even, in even any kind of spiritual sense. It's simply coming closer to now, to what this is, because the brain is otherwise going to go through its whole prediction sequence of like, means this has to happen, means that has to happen, means we feel bad, means this is the projection of what we feel after we see a picture of ourselves. Like this is the story that always takes place.
Right.
So to take that away is to be like, let's be here with this now. What could this be like without the projection of the story that's always come before it? Like, where is this? And I think for perfectionists and like people who are constantly it's like that idea is very vulnerable because you don't rely on anything before and you don't even rely on your own strengths. You're just willing to be here now, which is a vulnerability. And that is scary for like anyone with control, you know what I mean? Like who prefers to have control or even like planning, or even like predictability in a way.
Yeah. I love that you did that. Definitely. I'm like, ooh, I did not have the ability to do that, to like tell myself not to go down those rabbit holes. Like, I think it's amazing that you did that. And that's exactly, I kind of come at it now from a different way, but that's exactly what you're saying is so kind of like what I'm doing with this 40-day experiment where I'm literally doing it with everything now. Like any thought, like I'm taking it next level. That's it. It's like, I'm not engaging with this story that wants to have a life right now.
Yes.
And then you're left with what is. And it's like, I've always said when I've been working with people, it's like the body is neutral until a story is layered upon it. So you, through that exercise, stopped yourself from, like, you stopped the story in its tracks, and without the story on it, with just the isness. And you tell me, was the experience more neutral? Like, was that where it kind of, or what was it? Because there would have had to have been a story about it to feel any way about it.
Yes, correct. So the goal was to be more neutral. It was almost like I divided into two parts, and I still feel this way sometimes. It was like the part of me that had the story that I was taking away still existed. Like I was aware of it. It's not like I was just like, oh, never mind you. It was still sitting there. But I like branched off in another part of me. And like this other part of me was a witness to that. And it also was like, I'm not buying in. I'm just watching you. Or I'm not even watching you. I'm just also here. I had to have an also here to go anywhere because otherwise I only had story part, So it was like, I need to create both. I need to allow my story part because I can't get rid of it, but I need to create another thing too, because that other thing too is eventually what became much more of what I feel like now. Like it takes up way more space now and I had to give it a mic.
So what if the other you that you created, because those that have worked with me have known I've been really starting to use, for those who are watching this on YouTube, my hand gestures, where I say like, this is you, kind of as you were born, the essence of you. And then this is your mind with all of its beliefs and stories and ideas. And most of us, what ends up happening is the mind ends up latching onto us and kind of whips us around. And we think that we are that.
Yeah.
We think we are that story. So like, to where you're saying there had to be another self to land into.
Yeah.
it's like, what if that what you were quote unquote creating was actually
Yes, it
disconnecting
was.
from this mind and anchoring back into the truth of you?
I think,
But you wouldn't
yes,
have maybe experienced it that way.
I think there was a step between. So what I think I
Uh-huh.
did was I had the mind that I was kind of disengaging from story, but in the other part of me that was watching, I don't think I was self yet. I think that it was actually, I kind of got a little angry. And so it was this other side of me that was like, I'm not doing that. It was there was too much ego in it, I think, to be self. It was like too mad. She was kind of like,
Okay.
I am not. She was boundaried and empowered a little bit. She was kind of like, I'm not engaging. So I think I needed her
Yeah, I
to
see what you're saying.
eventually, and now where I feel like I am isn't it, sometimes it's that still. Sometimes I still need her.
Sure.
But there's from there, I think grew this like freedom in that. There was like something like, oh, I have way more agency than I thought. And like, and I'm mad about it. And that fire is what eventually gave me enough safety to be like, gosh, like who now I can come back to self because all these other parts are protecting me.
Right. I mean, I find I certainly went through that angry phase too. And I think that's a part of the journey is getting angry. And it's it's that part that's just saying enough. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to keep living this life where I'm putting myself down or being trapped by this. And so it comes out, usually, at least for me, as being mad at diet culture and, being mad at other things, and which is better than, being mad at yourself
Right.
and putting yourself down, right? I always say that we don't want to stay there because it burns us out if we're just constantly mad, but it does play a role in
Yes.
like that other kind of protective part that comes in to draw that line.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think you can get stuck in anger, but I also think you can get stuck out of it. Like, I think having a healthy hit of anger, because shame is anger turned inward, right? So we have to learn how to take that shame and put it where it belongs first and be like, yes, this does live in me. Actually, it's not mine. Actually, it's out here.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Like, absolutely not. Get a little feisty. And then be able to sort of use that to propel yourself to the next place.
Yeah. There's different stages.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's so funny though that you talk about your 40-day. Is this 40-day experiment self-led, or is it designed by like a course?
I'm doing it is a course. So it is a guided course where I watch like a video kind of teaching, and then there's not so much, I think some days there's exercises, but it's just more of a guided experience.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm not doing it entirely on my own. So that is very helpful, I have to say, because when now I'm going to this level of like all story of my life, like not just body, not just one area of my life, I'm hitting it up everywhere. It like that. I mean, anyways, I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's very compelling to get pulled back into the story. And so, I always say this when I'm working with people, they can have a moment of, I am okay. It's not, my body isn't a problem. I am worthy. I am good enough. They'll have like a glimpse of it or a hit of it. And then that story, that mind just comes ripping back in and really pulls you out and is like, nope, sorry. Actually worthy. No, haha, just joking.
Yeah.
Like you really are terrible. And and that's just because that there's been such an energy in that story, and it's what we've identified with, and it's what feels strangely comfortable. And it's also connected with our survival system. So like to the perfectionist, letting go of the control, it feels scary to do that because that has been the survival protective mechanism that we've relied on.
Yeah.
And then if you feel like you have some grounded place to land, like it doesn't feel safe, then you're not going to want to let go of it.
Yes.
Right. So it's like, well, no, I have to keep, I'm only day 3. So let's talk after day 40. That's why I was like, I didn't expect to talk about this right now.
I got you now. Okay.
But it's like I am full on committed to this.
Yeah.
Oh, I just lost track of what I was going to say. I don't know.
Well, I think it's cool that you're doing. I think it's interesting to hear that you're doing that, because given that you and I have led similar been on similar paths, similar timelines a little bit. The interesting thing to me has been like when I deconstructed body image to the degree that I did, there's always stuff to do, but like I was like, well, the same patterns are showing up in my work life or in now this new thing. And it's like, and that was, it's like my body image has just been a nest for this energy to begin with. And so was food. And then I thought when I healed those things, I'd be good to go. Like I'd be I don't know what even that means.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean to be like a perfectly healed human? And what was happening was like a whack-a-mole, right? It was like something else would pop up with a similar vibe where, to your point, it's like the stories are coming up somewhere else. The critic is coming up somewhere else. For me, it was fear. Like fear will show up for me, overwhelming fear. And recently, I've been like, I just completed my somatic experiencing training, and so after my most recent, the most recent training we had, I was like, gosh, so much of this is like a pattern. It's just like the way my nervous system has learned to do things. And I've been playing with when I have fear come up or anger come up or whatever it was that used to just be routed into my body image automatically because that was such a perfect place for it to go. I'm like, what if I mean, it's a whole thing. I can't even describe. It's just like, what if I don't follow that trail? And
yes.
And it's like, I think that's why body image can be such an opening because it exposes what's happening in a much broader way, like across life patterns. And that's why I think all of it's connected anyway. But I think it's really helpful to realize in a way that like your body image story is very much it's like a housing. It's like it's standing in front of all this other stuff and being like, it's about body, it's about your body, it's about your body, it's about your body. Because it's so easy to believe that because our society is so much built upon that. But like, it's like, oh, it's not. It's not. That was just a really convenient house.
Yep. No, you're right. And I do see it totally as a portal. Like when you can make more peace with this, there's huge healing that comes in that and really does. It's like, okay, here's the portal now. Like you want to go deeper? You want to actually feel like just really good as a whole human in your life, like in all areas, because then it just highlights like where it's still playing out in different areas. And so I've been going through, I mean, I'll again, didn't expect to talk about this, but that's why it's called Raw and Unfiltered. But
can't script this.
But it's like, I've been coming up against other big identity things that I was hanging on to, again, the next thing to give me a sense of good enoughness. That I've been letting go of too. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So even without that,
yeah, right.
Are you okay?
Right.
Are you worthy? Like I'll be honest. So one thing that's been coming up for me is, my husband and I, we don't own a home. We rent. And I don't know if I guess that depends on where you live, whether that's a thing or not. But where I am, it's like, no, almost everybody I know owns a home. And so there was this feeling of shame and less than because, I'm in my mid 40s now and I don't own a home. And so I've been noticing a lot of story coming up around that. And so I've been working on letting go of the judgment and this idea of this idea of where are we supposed to be in our lives at certain stages of lives, what life is supposed to look like.
Yes.
You're supposed to have the house. You're supposed to have the family. You're supposed to have this all in what? So that you can feel good enough, And so what if I'm like, well, okay, what if that's just not my life path?
Right.
Obviously it's not because otherwise I would have a house right now. And frankly, when I think about wanting to take care of a house right now, I do not. I love that I can just call my landlady and be like, can you fix this for me? Because it's great.
I know. I hear you.
So for all the thinking we want a house, I'm like, there's all the perks just renting. But it's, there's it's like I'm looking. I'm digging in all of the areas of my life where this shows up.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want that burden either. I don't want to sit that can't, okay, so that feels bad. It cannot be true that in any way my worth or value hinges on whether I own a home or whether I'm renting. That's just another idea that got, implanted by society and frankly, probably a really big real estate industry.
Big real estate.
Big real estate. Big housing. But it really, truly, where in all of these areas of our life are we sourcing our sense of worth and value based on something external to us. And I guess I feel it's like my soul's path is like, I want it all gone. Like I want to let it all go. Like I don't want to be feeling less than for anything.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I want to know on the deepest visceral level.
Yeah.
My true worth and value is inherent, full stop, period, end of story.
Yeah.
Not based on anything, because the house could go. Like anything that is temporary or external to us can be taken away.
Right.
And if our sense of well-being and okayness is reliant on that, well, it's going to be we're going to have a heck of a struggle when that goes.
Yes, you know? I know. It's why like radical acceptance is both like terrifying and liberating at the same time. Or that phrase like relax, nothing is under control. It's like the dichotomy of it feels so safe to attach to something. It gives you a life raft sometimes, but at the same time you're building your own or whatever you're building. You like, you know, the vulnerability of attaching to that. And I think that's why, not to bring, closing up the conversation, but like inviting in this idea of like, I think comparison is actually one of the, like all other those sneaky things that gets in the way of this. Like the pursuit of like, I don't want that anymore. I want to release that. This doesn't feel good to me. It's like, what brings us back is sometimes like, oh, but she seems to have it all, or they seem to be able to do it. And like, shouldn't I be? And they can. And like, there's these things to watch for, like across the board, across situations where like they bring you back, they convince you that like you're wrong and curtains have come down, right? Like that, or the curtains have parted. Like there's something else here to pursue. And I think it's that repetitive bringing back 100 times, 200 times of like that doesn't feel safe when I do that. Actually, it feels safe for a hot minute. And then, you know, if I can get something, but if I can't, like that's actually setting me up for failure, essentially.
Yeah, it is.
And also there's no rushing any of this.
No. And to this point, it's like, I have not been able to ever make myself or force myself to have these understandings or awarenesses. They have just come at the time that they are. And so speaking of which, this 40-day thing, I had attempted to do it 2 years ago or even 3. Like I looked because I signed up for it again. It's like free. And I was like, oh, I was 12 days into this when I quit last time. And so I was like, I clearly I wasn't ready for it. Like I got so far, and now there's this fresh like, oh no, like I am ready for this now. But I couldn't make myself be ready for it then. So I've noticed a pattern in my life. I don't know if you have, where I'll start to get exposed to an idea first, like on the periphery.
Yes.
And like I'll dabble in it, and then it's not ready for me. And then I'll come back. And all of a sudden it comes back into my life a few years later. And like, now I'm ready for it.
100%. I've talked about that so many times. Yes. That's how I feel like it has to be.
Stefanie, I feel like we could talk for hours.
I know, we better.
And clearly we did not need to. There was like some worrisome thoughts in the beginning of like, what are we going to talk? We're not scripting this. What are we going to talk about? And see, this is why I wanted to record it, because I'm like, such good stuff came out of it.
Yeah, different even than I would have thought it would. Like the conversation went a different way. Best kind.
Well, this is great.
We'll meet again.
We'll have to see how listeners like it. Maybe they'll want to hear another conversation in the future.
That's right. Maybe in 36 days. 37 days.
Maybe it'll have to be a regular segment on our podcast.
Absolutely. Let us know.
I love how, like, I don't know. I love talking with you. I love how I feel like we're so aligned. I feel like you get it in so many ways. And I also just love how you bring, because we're all unique, a slightly different aspect and perspective to it. And yet, like, I see how you get it on such a deep level. And I love that.
Me too. See, Kristina, we met, and like, what was it, like 5 years ago? See, 5 years ago. And then
who's saying that social media is so terrible? Exactly. It brings these great, for all, yes, we all know it has its downside, but it also has an amazing side too. Because this all just literally started from us following each other on Instagram.
I know.
It's so good.
Thanks to your listeners for having me on. And
same to yours.
Yeah. And
maybe we'll be back. Enjoyed the conversation. Yeah. Let us know. Let us know, listeners. Do you want another conversation with Kristina and Stefanie in the future? I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.